Welcome to this, your daily coronavirus update, and today we are going to talk about death and death rates and the phenomenon that seems to be coming to light through data that the death rate in India from coronavirus is not as much as in any other country, and perhaps maybe pointing to a very interesting trend that the disease is actually taking in India. Now, if you take a look at some of the data for coronavirus deaths all across the world, this is something that Kaushik Basu, for example, put out a little earlier in the day. These are what the numbers are in country after country, and you can see Western Europe, North America, look at the number of deaths that are actually taking place per 10 million people. Come to India, or for that matter, to parts of Africa or Bangladesh and other areas such as this, the death rate per 10 million is actually very low. Now, you could say that that's because of testing and because it's not really come to light, but that doesn't completely entirely make sense, because you could have a lot of cases because testing is not enough, but deaths should show up. Now, layer on that some other interesting data that I want to talk to you about. Reuters has a very interesting report that they have come up with. Do you know that the total number of deaths in India, anecdotally, over the last couple of months seems to have come down? The Reuters report quotes many crematoriums, many burial grounds to say that from the levels of 2019, deaths in the last 2-3 months, overall deaths, seem to have come down. Why on earth should that be the case in the middle of a coronavirus pandemic? Well, possible no road accidents are taking place, people aren't driving around, other things have come down. That's possible, but clearly not a wide number of deaths that are around there. Another couple of figures that I just want to throw at you. If you take a look at the total number of coronavirus cases in the world, take the average. How many people have recovered from coronavirus compared to the number of people who died? Now, across the world, that ratio is approximately 4:1. So, for every 4 people who are recovering from coronavirus, 1 person is dying. In India, that ratio is 7:1. So, 7 people are recovering from coronavirus for every 1 person who is dying. Now, all of these are pointing to a certain level of fatalities from the coronavirus in India and perhaps in other countries in South Asia or in Africa, which requires a lot of analysis. Now, you could say, yeah, that's deaths. Maybe there's a lot of coronavirus, or there are lots of serious cases. They're not somehow showing up in deaths just yet, but it could happen. It's possible. But let's remember, the government today has 1,94,000 isolation beds for coronavirus. The number of active cases right now in India, 14,000. So 90% of those coronavirus isolation beds are actually empty right now. Now, these are interesting signals. They are hopeful signals. They are positive signals. Do they require more analysis? Yes, they do. Should the government look at the data very carefully? Yes, it should. But all of this is pointing in a certain direction, which I think needs to be analyzed. And we need to try and do some scientific thinking around the entire question of why the fatality rate for coronavirus in India doesn't seem to be that high. An answer to that question and a scientific answer to that question may help us in shaping our response. All right, that's enough talking. Here are the top headlines of this hour.
Confusion prevailed on Saturday over a Ministry of Home Affairs order on Friday night. On Saturday, the Home Ministry sought to clarify that only standalone shops are being allowed to open as per the directive, and that the order does not apply to Covid-19 containment zones or liquor stores. Then, in a further clarification, the government said that salons, barbershops and restaurants will continue to be closed as the relaxation was given to shops selling items. Despite the central government's order, many state governments are yet to decide on the implementation of the order.
UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has directed officers that no public gatherings should be allowed in the state till June 30th in the wake of the coronavirus outbreak. Chief Minister's office said that further decision will be taken depending on the situation. Uttar Pradesh so far has reported over 1,600 coronavirus cases and 25 deaths.
The Tamil Nadu government's decision to impose a stricter lockdown in 5 cities of the state has triggered panic buying among residents. There were long queues outside milk shops, grocery shops and supermarkets. Starting Sunday, there will be a complete lockdown in Chennai, Coimbatore and Madurai for 4 days and in Salem and Tirupur for 3 days. People will not be allowed to step out of their houses even to buy essential goods. Milk and other essential food items will be home delivered for the period of the complete lockdown.
The Delhi government is not inclined to implement the Home Ministry's midnight order on letting standalone shops open right away, Hindustan Times has reported. The Delhi government will take a call after a comprehensive assessment on April 27th. The situation will be reviewed by the Delhi Disaster Management Authority's top committee before extending the lockdown relaxation to Delhi, the report said. Delhi has reported a total of 2,514 Covid-19 patients till Friday night, 128 of them within the previous 24 hours.
The average time between onset of symptoms of coronavirus and the death of that patient in Mumbai is 6.4 days. The average time between hospital admission and death is 2.4 days. These statistics have been revealed by a death audit report carried out by a BMC-appointed panel, the Indian Express has reported. The committee found that patients were reaching hospital late and dying soon after hospitalization. With 18 more deaths on Friday, Maharashtra's toll crossed 300. Mumbai at 178 accounts for well over half of those. Former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh has slammed the central government for freezing the DNS allowance of the government staff and pensioners. Singh said that this is not the time to impose further hardships on people when the country is battling coronavirus. Questioning the freeze, Congress leader Rahul Gandhi said government is taking money from the middle class and spending on Central Vista renovation project.
I see the problem is that you're building your Central Vista at the same time. So either you are not sort of doing these extravagant expenditures, but you're taking away money from the middle class. You're not giving money to the poor people, and you're spending it on your Central Vista.
As many as 101 former bureaucrats have written to the chief ministers of states expressing anguish over the harassment of Muslims in some parts of the country, while terming the action of Tablighi Jamaat in organizing a meeting in Delhi as misguided and condemnable. The ex-bureaucrats have slammed the utterly responsible and reprehensible action of a certain section of media in fueling hostility towards Muslims. The fear and insecurity generated by the pandemic is sought to be channeled into the othering of the Muslim community, the former civil servants have said. India has dropped out of the list of the world's top 10 stock markets as the COVID-19 pandemic led to a rout in global equities. The aggregate market capitalization of India fell 27% in dollar terms from the beginning of the year, the Mint reported, citing data from Bloomberg. India is no longer part of the $2 trillion market cap club, falling to the 11th spot in the league table with a $1.57 trillion market cap. In January, India was ranked 10 with a market cap of $2.16 trillion and was in the 7th spot, while in January 2019 with an aggregate market cap of $2.08 trillion.
A day after his bizarre strong light cure for coronavirus theory created a furore, US President Donald Trump on Friday tried to play it down. Trump claimed that he was being sarcastic and was not serious about what he said. Trump has asked scientists during a press conference if disinfectants could be injected into the body to kill the virus. His comments became the butt of jokes and outrage over the internet.
The World Health Organization is cautioning against the idea of immunity passports. It said there is currently no evidence that people who have recovered from COVID-19 and have antibodies are protected against a second infection. The concept of immunity passports or risk-free certificates has been floated as a way of allowing people protected against reinfection to return to work. But the Geneva-based UN Health Agency said people who assume they are immune to reinfection may ignore public health advice, and such certificates could raise the risks of continued virus transmission.
Spaniards are getting a bit too creative to get around the government's stay-at-home orders amid the COVID-19 outbreak. The government's strict stay-at-home order allows people to leave their homes to walk their pets. So last few days have seen Spaniards walking some very unusual pets. A man was caught, believe it or not, walking his fish in a bowl. In a number of hilarious videos put out by the Spanish National Police, people can be seen walking a hen or even a toy dog. One smart Alec came out dressed like a T-Rex himself.